All right. So I don't have a whole lot planned for today, but I did just bottle my last batch of mead, so we're probably gonna have to do another one of those. Got a couple ideas for flavors. Gotta hit the gym here in a minute. But other than that, I guess we'll just keep it loose and keep it rolling. This guy in the sauna sitting next to me had Crocs on, and like halfway through, he tips his feet down, and this whole just river of sweat comes pouring out his Crocs. Gross. Gotta stop by the house, and then we're hitting the gas station, then the bank, and then we're gonna go get some fruit for the mead. And I'm thinking raspberries, and maybe we can get some different flavors of tea. I used blueberries and a lavender and chamomile tea bags for the last one, and it turned out pretty good. So I think we're gonna try something else, get a couple different kinds of teas, and I think we're gonna do raspberries. This should make it nice, not only colorful, but brighter. The last one was so damn dark. I ended up taking way longer to do all that shit than I thought. Plus I took a shower, I changed, hung out for a little bit, started yapping, the usual. All right, so now it's a little bit later, so we're skipping the bank, and my list for Target expanded from raspberries and tea to like 10 things. So, and we gotta stop by Aldi, so no bank today, but that's fine. Arch! Side of the road find. All right, nothing good in there. Always got to keep your eyes peeled for the side of the road, because there's some good shit that I've found. So many textbooks and other books and golf balls and cups and mugs and furniture. And always keep your eyes peeled. Don't be afraid to stop. I don't know when I developed this habit, but for some reason, like in the last couple of years, have developed this habit of only getting like a quarter to maybe a half tank every time I fill up. Maybe that's like a remnant of a less financially stable lifestyle. I don't know. I've always just thought that it keeps the car a little lighter, drives a little better, takes less time, but more trips. You know, I don't know if I thought it through that much, but the worst part about it is every time my partner wants to use the car, it's always on E. And I know how many miles it is. Once that gas light comes on, I know exactly how many miles. So, you know, you can time it out pretty easily. But she's not a fan. So every time she gets in the car, the light's on and I get an earful. Oops. All right, but that's gas. Now Target. Well, I got some time at the light here. I'm pretty excited about doing these because it's like, how do you make a story with the most bare bones material? You know what I mean? Like, it's literally just my day. But I think it'll be fun to, you know, just see if I can tell an entertaining story, even if it's just ending up, you know, private for me to see. Something that's interesting with only the events that take place for my day-to-day. You know, we'll see. And it seems a little bit more fun than what I was doing before, instead of just sitting at my desk talking to the camera. So here's to the experiments. There's actually a Target way closer to where I live, but I used to work there, and I hate going into places. Any place that I've ever worked, I'd never go back to. Once I quit, that's it. All right. Of course, we ended up getting a bunch of shit that we didn't need. And I almost got a soda stream too, but they didn't get me. They didn't get me this time. But I got these totes here because so I had all these plants. I had all these plants planted, and I made a tragic error of putting them in big old pots first and not letting them grow first. And so everything died. And so everything's just been sitting in dead, nasty soil for like months. Not great. And so I've been thinking I needed like a big tote to just kind of remix the soil, get it out of the pots, and then I can replant stuff, and that's how it's gonna go. And I didn't really want to do that for a while because I want to build this hydroponic setup first, and that's gonna take a lot of the room. But we do have these window planters, and I would like to put some herbs and maybe some like green onion and stuff in there. So I think I'm gonna do that too. Maybe not today. We'll see what time we get done with all this stuff, but we still gotta go hit Aldi. I got everything to make the mead, so we're straight on that. The tea looks pretty good. So yeah, Aldi it is. Okay, so we got all our junk from everywhere we needed to go, and we could probably make the mead tonight. And then I'm thinking Thursday, we can maybe revitalize the garden a little bit now that we have the means. We'll see. I got a couple things that I got to take care of here. I got to eat, I got to make my shake, but then we can make that mead, boy. Sick. And now, only a short while later, definitely not a whole 2 days, comes the fun part, where we get to mix everything together and make us some mead, which is not what I'm doing right now, but I gotta eat first, and then we gotta weigh out, you know what, I'll just see you there. All right, so first I gotta sanitize everything, and then we'll weigh out everything that we need. Sick. So now we got everything sanitized. We get our fruit, raspberries, and honey. All right, sick. Everything's dry. Yummy. Now we just gotta weigh out the honey and throw that in. Whoops. Close enough. Alright, dude, almost there. Just kind of letting the honey drain here for a minute. And then we gotta add our distilled water. Before we add the yeast, we just got to take our initial gravity so that we can know what the alcohol percentage is afterwards. With our little hydrometer here, which apparently is very easy to break, so we'll be careful. Yeah, this is really not that hard to do. Pretty straightforward. Just got to get in there, underneath all that shit, and get out some of the liquid. And don't fill it all the way up to the top, because when you put this sucker in there, it's just gonna overflow all over everything. So we'll see how this does. Try add a little bit more than that. And then you give her a spin to get all the bubbles out of the way, because sometimes bubbles will cling to the side and they'll give you like an artificial reading. All right, this is not the easiest thing to show here, but you spin her around and wait for it. And what we're looking for is that measurement right there. And we got an initial gravity of 1.086. Cool. All right, so 1.086, and then that way at the end, you take that number, put it in this equation with the measurement at the end of it, and then that'll tell you your ABV. Pretty sweet. So now we just gotta dump this junk back in here, and we can add our yeast. All right, please don't mind my little workshop here. It is a horrendous mess, but to be cleaned at a later date. So we'll take this, And not gonna lie, I'm about to look up how much to put in there. I think it's like 2 grams for this size, but I'm not really sure. So I hope I didn't lead on that I was some kind of expert or something, because I've done this like 3 times with actual yeast, and before that I was using bread yeast and grape juice. So, you know, I'm just throwing stuff together and seeing what sticks. But the internet is our friend, of course, so I'll be right back. All right, it says 2 to 5 grams for 1 gallon. That seems like a lot, but we'll throw it in there. And then we're also gonna grab some yeast nutrient as well, just to get things off to a nice start. I don't know how much I got left in this packet of yeast, so we'll measure that out and see what it is. I'll probably just end up dumping the whole thing in there, but we shall see. So it looks like we just have a little over 1 gram in there, which is maybe not ideal. I would have liked to have a little bit more. I didn't really think that through, but oh well. So now we'll just hydrate this yeast. So basically all I'm doing is just putting it in a little glass of water and then mixing it up, and then just bloop, and then give her a good mix. And then I am gonna put some of this yeast nutrient in there too, a little healthy helping to get her moving. We just have to add our airlock here. So screw this on. Yep. So now when the carbon dioxide forms, it comes up here and it'll bubble up through. This allows for a slow release of gases that build up as a byproduct of the yeast eating all the sugar in there. Nice, dog. And then we just go and sit that in the little workbench for about a month. Nice and wonky. And that's it, dog. We're good to go. So yeah, we'll check up on that bad boy. It should be bubbling by the end of the day. Usually it starts pretty quick, but I will obviously keep it updated steadily as I make these. We'll just keep checking in on it. In about a month, we can transfer it, and then a couple days after that, we'll measure it, and then a couple days after that, we will bottle it. And there we go, and I'll give you some tasting notes. That's about it for today. A little what's next is I gotta fix this problem here. And if you can see all that dead stuff out there. So I gotta revitalize some of this junk here. So we might start some seeds tonight, prep that, and then in a couple days we'll get that rocking and rolling. But that's it. Later.